For those of you not familiar with CEED, it is the Center for Entrepreneurship, Education, and Development. We are a nonprofit organization that offers a wide variety of programs and funding that supports local entrepreneurs. I would like to extend an enormous thank you to Dalene Allen from Networking Naturally for being here with us today. Imagine going from someone who couldn't hand out a business card to becoming a master networker and successfully running a referral-based business with annual sales of over $5 million. Connecting people and witnessing the incredible relationships that blossom is Dalene's biggest thrill. Now, starting Networking Naturally, Dalene's mission is to teach people how to build a network and develop lasting relationships that feed the growth of their business and enrich their lives. Truly, network is your network. Today, Dalene will show us how expanding your network can significantly enhance your network. This session will cover networking strategies to open up new opportunities, tips for building meaningful connections that can elevate your career or business, and real-life success stories of individuals who have benefited from thinking outside the box in their networking efforts. We appreciate your dedication to being involved and supporting this community, and we love it when leaders like you come and inspire people. Without further ado, I'll now hand it off to Dalene.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you, Calvin. That was a great introduction. So yes, my name's Dalene Allen, and if I took you back to my very beginnings of entrepreneurship, I worked in the retail industry, and so you'd think I'd be used to talking to people, but I used to call it behind-the-counter confidence. If they came into where I was an employee, then yes, of course I had to. When I started my own business, then it became a little bit more challenging because suddenly it's like, oh, I'm promoting myself. And I think that's sometimes what happens to especially new business owners, or you reach a certain point and you kind of go, okay, I'm comfortable, but I'm not doing what I'm doing. And it all goes back to networking. And one of the first things I find that when somebody starts networking and it's going well and their business is growing, the minute they get busy is the minute they stop networking. And to me, that's not a good thing. You want to keep the sales funnel going because, if you're trying to close a sale and you're desperate, desperation is not fun, and it isn't a great way to want to live your life and or build the business. So keeping the sales funnel full or making new connections is huge. So I don't know about you, many of us that are self-employed, there's no structure, right? We're the boss. If you got a bricks and mortar store, you at least have some kind of structure. But for many of us, which is now a phenomenal opportunity to really build $1 million business sitting at home, we still need to connect with people. So I can't see all of you, but I'm going to ask you a question. If you were out at a networking event, right? You can put your hands up. If you were out at a networking event, what are you there to do? You're there to tell people about your business. Hands up. Is that what you're there to do? Let's see some hands. Right? Yeah, that's what we're all there to do. Selling ourselves. Yes, we want to make some connections, but here's the thing. Have you ever had a client you didn't like? Have you ever had a client that spent a lot of money with you or didn't spend a lot of money with you, but took up all your time, didn't value your time? And you know you've got a real business when you start to really niche down into what the perfect client is. And firing a client, if you're worried that one client will make or break your business, you don't have a business, okay? And so that's why learning how to effectively network to fill your sales funnel is paramount, okay? So most people, they go to a networking event, they're there to promote what they do, and that's normal. But here's the thing. I like to know if I like that person before I decide I want to do business with them, okay? A long time ago, somebody said to me, you can tell anyone where to go, just make sure they enjoy the trip. Because the relief that you will feel when you release that person that has taken up way too much time and way too much effort, your shoulders drop. And that's what this is all about. To be all things to all people is something that really is hard to do. What is it that you love to do, the best out of all you do? What pays you the most and what gives you the most joy? And some people will say, but I can't do that. You want to go start working on it. Because law of attraction, when you laser focus on what you really want and are putting the energy out there, you'll do it. Okay, it'll happen. It's gonna come to you. I watch too many people say, if I say, what's an ideal client? They'll say, well, anybody. And we think in stories, we think in pictures, we're visual. First, we have to see it, we have to hear it, and then we have to, if we can, kind of feel it or get the sensation. And so by being able to really niche down on who that perfect client is, right? So I'm going to ask for a volunteer here. Tell me who your perfect client is. Just organically. It doesn't have to be a specific person. Is it somebody who's between the ages of 30 and 50? Is it a bricks and mortar business? But can somebody just volunteer for me here? Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, so I would say my ideal client, if I'm working one-on-one. So first of all, I'm a health and life coach. And so I started my own business last year. And my ideal client is someone who is typically, now there's some wiggle room, but typically 40 plus. And they are on a path where, their life is already, like things are going well, but they aren't feeling as great as they could feel. So that could be, maybe they could do more with their career. Maybe they could do more with their health and wellness, with their energy, with their, maybe they're struggling with weight or with sleep or things like that. So it's more, I work with people one-on-one to help them be better, to feel better, and to live their best life. And I find, anyone younger tends to not have had the experiences yet that life throws at you to really understand, like, okay, things are okay. I just want them to be even better. Okay. Right?
Yeah, perfect. So here's the thing. I'm a big believer in, number one, I'm not a therapist, but I've paid for a lot of therapy over the years. Okay. So feelings buried alive never die. And you're carrying around things in your subconscious that you were fed to you, because our subconscious usually doesn't develop till we're about 8 or 9 years old. So you were the total sum of everything that was fed to you, good, bad, or whatever. So of course, when I was young, my parents said what many parents would say, don't talk to strangers, don't talk to strangers. And I truly believe that when I started my first business, that was a big reason. If only I'd learned how that I could have rebooted the computer and got rid of that, and you could say, well, that wasn't really bad trauma. Well, if it affected me being able to talk to a stranger and hand out a business card, that was a limiting belief. And let me tell you, we have limiting beliefs about a lot of things. Money is another. Okay. And you've got to get clear on that. And that's where working with a health coach can help you, number one, not only feel better. And when we feel better, I believe we deal with certain things a whole lot better. So if we look at somebody organically, because what we want to develop is what I call a dream team of referral partners. Okay. So if what we have in the middle here, right, is the ideal client, we want to understand a person at the age of 40, late 30s, early 40s. They could be married, they could be single, they could be going through a divorce. What are the things that person is likely also utilizing? So I want some feedback from you folks, but I'm going to do the first couple, so you see what I mean. Chiropractor. Why? I spelled chiropractor wrong. Sorry, guys. When a chiropractor does an adjustment, he will usually say, why is your neck so stiff? Right? And we tend to talk to chiropractors about I just got my insurance bill and it's gone way, way up. Well, if that chiropractor knew a home and auto insurance person, he's adding value to his client's experience, especially if he knows, likes, and trusts that person enough to know that person will do a good job for them. And they come back the following week and say, wow, thank you so much. You saved me a ton of money, right? Added value to the client experience, deepening relationship and trust. If you've never watched an Amy TED Talk, She does several, but the one on trust is amazing. And I got to tell you, I've been in this business for a lot of years, and I love connecting with people. And many of us, we're so excited about what we do, we want to share it. Amy Cuddy in this one TED Talk says, until there is trust, people do not hear a word you say. And I'm going to say that again. Amy Cuddy says, until there is trust, they do not hear a word you say. And I thought, wow, I need to shut up. Or I need to turn what I want to talk about into a question to get that conversation going. So sooner or later, we're gonna make the connection to what I do. Prior planning prevents poor performance. And so if you watch her TED Talk and think of how you interact people when you first meet them, and you just change instead of a statement to turn it into a question, kind of like, and rather than would you, a friend or a family member, know somebody who's under great stress? That's what Melissa Pike does. She helps people get their mojo back. You know, you could come up with a cute little whatever. But if you say, hey, you interested? No. Okay. Would you, a friend, family member, or business associate know somebody who's just not, you know, they're not feeling great? Okay. Does that make sense? So then I'm going to ask for some help here so we can all be brainstorming. Who else would this type of person be seeing on a regular basis?
A therapist.
Well, a massage therapist too, but yes, therapists. I'll tell you, therapists are good for realtors and mortgage brokers and home and auto insurance, because if they're not sticking together, there's two of everything there that needs to get taken care of. So yes, a therapist or family counselor. And boy, when people are going through stress, they need a support system. Okay? Help here, guys. Give me some suggestions.
Maybe a financial advisor as you get closer to retirement, planning how you're going to deal with your finances at that point.
Brilliant. Yes. Excellent. And I already said it, but here's the thing, home and auto. Now, not for the everyday person, but when that home and auto agent, if they're doing their job and really caring about the client relationship, what happens when somebody's in an accident? Okay. And it's like when that person is trying to support them, being able to say, look, here's a person you might want to have a conversation with, right? I'll give you an example. I didn't realize I was great at connecting people. I built it out of my fear of handing out business cards. And either in your email signature and or your conversations that you have with people, I said three things: not occasionally, not once in a while, everything was in my email signature. And when I saw people face to face or on the phone, this is what I said on an ongoing basis. And I'll tell you, it made me millions of dollars. First of all, thank you for your business. Not once in a blue moon, every single time I sold a consumable product. Thank you so much for your business. I sure hope you know how much I appreciate your support. And my success is thanks to great people like you. It's a form of recognition to give back. Okay. Second, right? That went as quick as it came. Of course, the greatest compliment you can pay me is to refer me to your friends. That was on every business card and every signature and my email address that went out. Third, you know, I know a lot of people, a lot of good people. If ever I can help you personally or professionally, please reach out. Not once in a blue moon, all the time. Now, for many of these people, you know, I knew 2 or 3 generations of their family. You know, I sold skincare and cosmetics. It's a personal business. And I sold that business about 9 years ago. And a woman about 2 years ago in the spring called me and said, Dalene, I was going to press Google, but I called your number. I wanted to see if it worked. I'm thinking, you remembered my number 7 years later. And so we had the most wonderful catch up. I knew her mom, I knew her daughter, like got all the news. And do you know how when you haven't heard from somebody, it just made my day. And she said, well, Dalene, there really was a reason for calling today. And of course, what I usually say, oh, how can I help? She said, I need 3 things. And I could connect her to 3 people I knew, liked, and trusted. And she said, you're my Google, Dalene. Why would I press Google when I can call you? That's a relationship. That's what they refer to as social capital today. And that is priceless, absolutely priceless. Okay. So when we see all of the things that we're trying to do on social media, one of the things I'd suggest to you is early on in the sales funnel process, is there anything I can do to help you personally or professionally? Reach out if I can make a LinkedIn connection. And all that I would ask is to give me feedback on what our experience together is like as we're doing business. And I don't usually at the end have to ask for testimonial recommendations. If I do, it's usually happy to do it, Dalene. And 99% of the time, it is a beautiful thing. Okay. And I always say, can I post it and share something wonderful about you? Another form of recognition and giving back. Okay. Recognition. People will work more for recognition than money and a whole lot of other things. Appreciation. One of the other things I'll tell you is you develop your dream team of referral partners. Get in the habit of a thank you card. Now, because I sent so many, there is a company called Send Out Cards that will do everything for you. You can upload pictures. So let's say if you were a realtor, you could upload a picture of their old house, right? I have a friend and big realtor, does a lot of business. When people go in and have the photos done for the staging when your house looks pristine, he'll make a photo book. And about 3 months after they've moved into their new home, he sends the photo book. He gets more business because of that photo. So thoughtful in your thank yous. You don't have to promise the moon, but an email thank you, but a card on the fridge or something that stands. Now, the thing about send out cards, you can send it postcard style, but I like the card style. Why? Think about it. You have 4 sides to do business. So you can upload a picture of something, something you've seen on social media. Maybe it was a family picture. So you could upload that on the front of the card. You can put a nice message. And here's what I used to do. I'd go out and I'd look at all the really nice, expensive cards in a card shop. I would take pictures of the verses that I really liked. And then I came home and I printed them on postcards. Why? Because a postcard's easy to mail. And lots of people would see my postcard go through the mail. And don't laugh. I had somebody from a postal service say, I took a picture of your contact information from a postcard you were mailing to somebody. I got a new client. Okay, right? I left, on the front was a nice picture and verse. On the back, it would have a little info about me, but enough room to say, thank you. I hope you know how much I appreciate you. Referrals are the greatest compliment. And remember, I can help you get connected. Okay, stamp goes in the mail. I used to mail hundreds. I got to get back to it. But send out cards will do everything for you, which is pretty amazing. On the back of the card, though, if it was a 4-sided card, would be all of my contact information. So let's say, again, if you were a realtor, you could have a picture of the last 4 properties you sold or the 4 listings that you now have active. Okay, so how about a little feedback here, folks? Am I making sense on some of these?
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. I often, with clients one-on-one, if they talk about, we talk about everything in their life. So when, I mentioned therapist because I do refer a therapist to multiple people, because I'm not a therapist. Therapists deal with the past and with trauma and all that other stuff. And it's very complementary to what I do. So I love to do that referral, but also a massage therapist. I have a friend who's a massage therapist. And when people are like, oh, I can't exercise right now because I've got something happening with my back, I'm like, would you like a referral to a massage therapist? So it all makes amazing sense. And I like seeing the visual of it like this because you can keep going. Like there's so many avenues that you could go down for this.
Well, and here's the one thing I will say to you, and this is where we need to be strategic in this. Does she refer back to you?
We have that agreement. It hasn't happened yet where there's been an opportunity, but yes.
Then here's the thing, find a couple of each of these professions, and you can keep track of, again, I've sent you 3 referrals. I've not received anything. Is your company info into their clinics? Are they actively pursuing? Because here's the thing, if you sent to her and we haven't had anything at this point, she's not mentioning. You can usually tell pretty quickly, Melissa, whether somebody is reciprocating. Okay, so chiropractor, but let's think of, again, I said a home and auto insurance. It could also be a mortgage broker or a realtor. Those are the most stressful periods of time. Plus, those are likely professions that you could also teach them about, they're eating on the run. Melissa, was that helpful?
Yes. Sorry. My finger kept going over the button.
No problem. Okay, would we like to do this with another person in another profession?
We have 2 in the chat. We have hairstylist and personal training for businesses, but if we're thinking of clients, not sure if anybody has any suggestions for that.
Okay, well, we have a hairdresser here. I love hairdressers. They're therapists, they're counselors, they're motivators, they're inspiration. So I'll give you a couple of examples. I had a mortgage broker a while ago, young man, married, couple of preschool children. And he called me and said, Dalene, I'm having a real challenge, really making some connections. So I said, your kid's in daycare? And, hands up, I don't have kids. But, if you have a child in daycare, those daycare teachers hear everything because those children don't have filters. Mommy and daddy are arguing. Mommy likes a glass of wine. It's all taken out of context. But they hear the funniest stories, okay? What was I going to say? My godson, for an example, he had his bottle of apple juice in his lunch bag, but for whatever reason, he must have left it out long enough. It had turned sour. And he handed it to his teacher and he said, I think mommy forgot and put wine in my apple juice container today. Right? Yeah. I mean, it wasn't wine. His apple juice had been near something hot that day, maybe near the radiator at school. I'm not sure. But anyway, so kids know everything. Okay. So when I said to him, okay, you're paying a lot of money at that daycare. Why don't you do this? And for any of our people here with small children, the $10 daycare is wonderful for families, but it's putting private daycares out of business because it takes approximately an hour to an hour and a half of paperwork for them to be able to get the compensation back. It isn't, there's always 2 sides to something. But anyway, they're always looking for craft supplies, whatever. So I said to him, take a nice bag, $20, $25 of craft supplies and a bunch of business cards and company info for you. And he said, why would I do that? I said, well, you're already paying the daycare. You already know the daycare people. Try it. And I said, but make sure they understand when you get a mortgage that you're going to come back and would you give them $50 worth of craft supplies? He said, yeah, I got a mortgage. I would. 3 mortgages the next month. Okay. There was incentive that was clearly defined. The cards and information were there, made it easy for that person to hand out. And he said, if you can tell me who's interested and say, I will contact them if they give permission, because it's one thing to hand out a card. If you're going to try something like this for your business, when you give several cards to one of your clients, get them to write their name in front of you on the back of the card and say, when that card comes back to me, I'll have a treat for you. And, it doesn't have to be a lot. A $10 Tim card right now makes a lot of, or Starbucks makes a lot of people pretty excited. Okay. So then he came back to me and said, wow, Dalene, that really worked. And I said to him, go to every daycare. And he said, I don't want to do that. And I understand people's comfort zones, but I'll tell you, Anybody here, you go to daycare and you can get likely any kind of a client because they know everybody, okay? And they know, you know, if there's 50 kids there, that could be 150 because of, you know, parents are divorced and other people. There could be 4 kids picking up that at that daycare. So I next said to him, tell me about your wife's hair. And he goes, Dalene, you're really nuts. And I said, tell me about your wife's hair. He said, well, it's long. And I said, I bet there's lots of pretty shades of color in her hair. And he said, yeah, actually there are. And I said, what does she pay? He said, too much money, you know, $200 or $300 every other month. And I said, she owes you, right? So to the hairdresser here, if you had a card stand on your if you could, or maybe attach it to the wall next, and all of your clients had business cards there with your name on the back of it, and say, send me a Tim's card or do something, whatever, and I'll hand out your cards and promote your business. If you know, like, and trust that person, it's easy to do, but it's got to be in front of your face for you to remember. Right? So I, to this day, carry a business card file with my BNI members and people that I know, like, and trust in industries. So when I'm sitting with somebody, I'll usually say, okay, is there something I can help you with personally, professionally? I need this. I go through in that. And usually I'll even hand the book to them and say, look, if there's somebody in there that you think you would like to do business with, and then I'll say, is it okay if I make a note on whose card you take? Because I'd like to get them to be introduced to you. And in most cases, if they took the card, they want to get introduced. So here's the thing. It's great to hand out cards, but if you can make an introduction, because here's the thing. If I'm always in the middle of that introduction and I'm only making introductions that I believe will be a complement, the added value, and again, you're growing your social capital as well as your network, right? If you can train them to always be calling you back, right? So hairdressers, amazing. Okay. His hairdresser within the next month or two, same thing, couple more mortgages. Okay. Because I had a fear of handing out business cards, I was great at getting referrals from anybody. Because the game I played with myself is if I did not get a referral from you, I had to go hand out a business card. Now, I wasn't desperate. Playing desperate, I just said, there must be somebody you know who'd like a little treat, a bag of free samples, whatever. Okay. And again, you don't have to offer incentive if they like you. Okay. But here's the thing. If somebody's referring a lot of people to you, I believe they deserve some incentive, some form of thank you. Okay. And that's knowing what they like. Okay. And I'll give you an example. Because of the type of products I sold, skincare and color cosmetics, I could likely equate about 40% of my business to about a dozen people, because I would offer an incentive for every new client you find me who tries the product and makes a purchase. There was incentive for them. And so not everybody wants to become a Mary Kay beauty consultant. That's okay. I was happy. I mean, my phone was ringing to a couple of $1,000 a week in reorder business, because it's nice to have a residual source of income, folks. But it was amazing how many of those people still reach out to me today and say, Dalene, can you help me with this? It's a relationship, and that's gold, right? When you're dealing with people and you're only going to deal with the ones you really like, those are the beautiful relationships that we develop, that, you know, if you're really in a bit of a pinch, you could reach out to somebody and somebody's going to, right? So thinking outside the box of networking. Here's another idea, okay? We're going to draw a circle. Forgive me, it won't be a great circle. We're going to draw a circle. This is what I used to do. Pretend this is a map. And the center is where you live, okay? This is where you live. And this is maybe a 2 to 3 kilometer range around it. And this is something I got comfortable with. And I would start there, and I would either draw it into pie shapes like this. And what I would do is I would go out on every street and I would stop into every business. And when you really start going street by street, You see little signs at the end of people's lawns. You see all kinds of things. And I would knock on, go into every business and say, hi, I'm your neighbor. I never once had somebody be rude to me. They might have said no to me, but they did it in the nicest way possible. Hi, I'm your neighbor. I would love to hand out your business cards if you'd like to hand out mine. Is there any way maybe I could do a pop-up here? Is there anything we can do to help each other? Why not check out my LinkedIn or social media connections and see if I could find, and do an introduction for you. And this, again, made me millions of dollars. Okay. We're starving in an orchard when we don't look at our warm connections. The other thing most of us also miss are family, friends, and close business associates, right? That if you're not going into all of their social media platforms and see who they're connected, you're missing an unbelievably huge target market of people that there's already a trust level. Every time we give a referral or make a connection, we give a little bit of our, what, I'm missing the word. Help somebody. But anyway, when I make that introduction, because I only try to make great introductions, is my name's always in the middle of it. And so just speaking to you folks here today, if I made an introduction to somebody that I thought you would at least have something in common with, would you be happy with that? Do you wish more people would do that? I'll tell you, you start doing that. Usually, and I have a little system, so if I make a new connection on LinkedIn, I'm going to put 3 or 4 times in the next couple of weeks to either go in and look at their post on social media. I may try to make an introduction to them. Just watch what they're doing, like, share, and comment. That's the big thing on social media. So they start to watch you, right? So if you're doing 3, 4, 5, they used to say if you made 3 touch points, now they'll tell you it needs to be at least 5. But if it's in your calendar, you don't have to remember. Just every day you get up. Or if you made that one connection, then 2 days ahead, put follow up, like, share, comment, do at least 5 words. And then after that, watch their social media posts. But every time you get off that communication, put the next time to communicate with them. If you also go back over every quarter or every 6 months, everybody that you did reach out to that maybe you were hoping to do business with, because here's the thing, people don't buy when you want them to. They buy when they're ready. And when there's a relationship started, you're going to be a whole lot more inclined to get that business when they're ready. But if you're just doing it to say, hey, you ready yet to do blah, blah, blah? No. How you doing? Right? And if you'll always write down the next appointment and write down, oh, their kids were really sick. Oh, have the kids gotten any better? There's always a message and something personal that you can start that conversation off with. Okay. So we're back to the map. Okay. And so what I would do if I didn't do pie shape, right? I would do like this. I would just start going in circles like this. And again, stop into everybody that had a business. I am your neighbor. Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments? I want this to be of value to you. So can anybody give me a little bit of feedback here? Or give me a scenario you'd like to work with. Go ahead, Natalia.
I have a question about the neighbors, like how I can know if they have a business or not. Like I know many of my neighbors, but they don't have a business.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's why if you're driving around in your neighborhood, you'll see who's got a business. I'm not going to residential houses. I must say I admire anybody because Natalia, in your business, you as a professional organizer and interior decorator, you could knock on every residential door in the neighborhood, right? You just got to be willing to do it about 3 times for it to stick. So other things, you've got 3 beautiful little children. you could make a rack card that hangs on a doorknob or a door knocker, and you could have your kids, right? They're all going up to a door. If you're brave enough to knock on it, just say, I'm new in the neighborhood and here's what I do. I'll tell you, do that for 6 months, you won't need any more business, right? That is the best way to, and what? Some other things for all of us on the call, if you get a door knocker like that, at least follow up. Obviously, you're looking for business. I could hand out your cards if you hand out mine, right? It's always, how can I help you? How can I help you? One of the biggest things today you're seeing, number one, we're talking about mental health, which I think is absolutely amazing. I have a family history of mental health issues. And early on in my early 20s, I approached my family physician and said, I think I really would like to go talk to somebody. And she said, Dalene, it'll be on your medical record. I remember saying to her, I'm okay with that. But Dalene, if you ever wanted, to run for politics, this will stand against you. And I said, I'm still okay with that. But to have my family physician say that to me, I mean, how many other people, right? So I'll tell you one thing, like my podcast, network equals net worth. Those of us who had a huge support system, that's why we got through COVID. And that's why we want to constantly be building and growing our network. A friend of mine who built, again, that $1 million business sitting at home on his bum and not going out. He said to me, Dalene, I find one person a day on a social media platform. Now, he was active on a lot. I like LinkedIn because it's for business. So every day, to this day, I go in and I find an interesting profile, something that has sort of some humanity to it, if you will. And I kind of look to see what we have in common. I look to see who their connections are and think, okay, this would be a good one. Reach out and say, hi there. Love to connect and see how I could help you in your business, maybe an introduction or something, and get that process started. If you did that one day of each and every day of 5 days a week, that's 20 a month. That's 240 in a year. If you work on the 80-20 rule, that's 50 clients or 50 sales. Now, if I said to you, go out and talk to 240 people, you'd all go, whoa, okay? But that's what built me millions of dollars, okay? And I still do that to this day. If I'm not too busy, I might do 2, I might do 3. During COVID, first week of COVID, I'm a sociable person. I'm out a lot. I used to be very introverted, but I learned talking to people, if you're concerned about that, it's usually because you're more concerned with you than it is about them. And they're just as uncomfortable as you are. So be brave, take, a deep breath and say, hey, tell me about you. Okay. Remember, they don't hear a word you say until there's trust. So get them to do more talking than you. So one a day to do that. One day I reached out to 25 people, right? This was during COVID, and 19 started to talk to me. And that was the dumbest thing I ever did. You cannot hold 19 conversations. People were like, what did you just say to me, Dalene? I was like, oh, so 1, 2, or 3, no more, okay? The other thing you want to do is go back to past connections. This can be, professionally, maybe previous jobs or people that you'd reached out to and it never got time for the business. There's already the start of a relationship there. So make that list of 20 or 30 people. I'm not saying I'm doing it all in a day, but start ticking them off one at a time, to just say, look at their profile, look at some of their posts. Oh my goodness, congratulations are in order. Or, oh my goodness, I didn't realize you changed jobs and whatever. And just say, love to stay connected. Is there anything at all I can do to help? To be of value to people today, because not everybody's comfortable asking for help, okay? But if you do, the one new connection, the one previous connection, we're now up to, instead of 48, you're up to 96 people this year that you'll have deepened a relationship with, okay? That little bit of research up front, same thing, millions. And this is a small enough daily activity that really is an income producing activity. But if you've ever read the book Atomic Habits, most of us will set that intention but never get off the ground because there's not a system. So how hard is it to say every single day? Now, here's the thing. My mission is to do these 2 things first thing in the morning, because I'd love to wake up and have somebody ask me to be a new connection. I'd really like that. And the person that I make feel good makes me feel good that I did that. Praise the action, not the person. Don't say, hey, you're great. Tell them why they're great. Okay? That little bit of recognition, right? And guess what happens if you do that consistently? You start to get messages back that people are saying, you have no idea how that message made my day today. So you want to help your mental health, your positive attitude, and so much more. You start doing little things like that. Okay? Third, think of some referral partners and think outside the box. Either get a really big whiteboard or maybe paint an area in your office or whatever in chalk paint. I find I'm a visual. I've got my corkboard or my whiteboard and I know exactly what to do. Usually my whiteboard is sideways because I'll have all of the people that I really want to do some business with. And then I can move them along. Okay, so I just connected with them. We're going to do this, and then I move it along. And of course, it gets narrower and narrower. But the wonderful part is this is all leading to green. Don't put anything red, right? Because who wants to see a red mark on a wall? Maybe you're going to start with blue when you first make that connection. And maybe it's going to be pink or something as it goes along because that's a happy color, not red because it usually means we're in a deficit. But green, I love to see green because green means, and color code your calendar. Green means that's a money-making opportunity, or what I call an income producing activity. Many of us are very busy doing a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's not necessarily income producing activities. So I think I have talked way too much. And I'd love everybody here, if it's okay with Sam and Calvin, maybe just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you so we can get you connected here, because we can put all your contact details into the chat and then we can print it off and stay connected. How does that sound? So, Melissa, would you like to go first?
I was wondering if you're going to pick me first. Yeah, so Melissa Pike. I am the founder of Melissa Pike Health and Life Coaching. And I not only work one-on-one with clients, but I also do corporate workshops. So I do workshops, I go into the workplace and I do workshops on stress management, on mindset shift, nutrition and energy and how it impacts your workday and your productivity, as well as movement and how movement is really crucial and important to your productivity and your cognition and everything as well. And yeah, so most of my clients right now are, I started out thinking I was just going to work with women. Most of the people who reached out one-on-one were men who were later in their careers and either own their own companies or, presidents of companies or whatnot. So a wide range of things that I typically will work on, but I always blend the life coaching with the health coaching because I firmly believe they all go hand in hand. When we feel healthy and well, then we can take on all of the life things in just such a more productive way and, just being more clear with everything that we're tackling. Yeah.
Okay, Natalia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Natalia. I'm a professional organizer and interior decorator. My business is Does Design. I'm helping to the people, busy professionals or people who ready to downsize with home organization, downsizing, moving, and also the design of interior decorating. The home organization, it's affect our life and our place to Dalene, my process. I'm also talking about other stuff, why it's happened, and how our attachments and our psychology, how what reduce the stress. We have stuff what emotionally we attach to it and why we attach. Sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's negative. And what I liked in my work was it's the effect of the work done, and the people are more motivated, more happy, and have time to do
Exactly.
really important stuff
Yeah.
in
So you
their
see,
life.
Melissa Pike and Natalia could certainly do how health and the clutter are related. You guys could do a great Facebook Live. Carol Myers, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Great.
Good, good. So my company is called Empowering the Potential Within. I'm certified Maxwell Leadership Coach, speaker, trainer, and DISC behavioral analysis. I work with businesses and individuals to really get out of that stuck area where they feel like they, they're not living a fulfilled life and they want to get more out of life. It can be around, almost always implements DISC behavioral analysis because that really identifies everyone's leadership skills and their style, communication style, and their strength, where their strengths are and their areas of opportunity. Building a an action plan from that DISC will then let me know whether I need to do communication development within that team, whether I need to work on collaboration. So it identifies quite a few things for us and how we can move forward working with the team that they have, or if it's an individuals. And really it then supports the individual to be more engaged. So for employers, this is much nicer if their employees are more engaged.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're more creative, they're more productive, right? They're living happier, of course, because they feel like they're being heard, and they're working towards their goals and dreams. So so really supporting people to move forward in their lives in whatever direction that is, or businesses, to improve their bottom line.
Excellent. Thank you, Grace. Make sure to put all your contact information into the chat.
Hi, I own a business, Attain Focus Consulting, and I work with small businesses who are just starting their entrepreneurship journey. They know their product, but are not quite sure who their target market is. So I help them focus a little bit more so that they can spend less money on targeting their own clients. I also work with businesses that have plateaued in terms of revenue to figure out what issues they need to address in order to continue to increase their revenue. And the third part of my business is I also work with organizations that work with entrepreneurs to deliver content for them.
Excellent. Veronica. Can you speak, Veronica? Lauren, would you like to share? How about Samarpreet?
Hi, I'm Samarpreet Kaur. So I've just began my journey. We've taken a scholars franchisee, which is basically a one-to-one tutoring center for kids from primary to high school. So that's about me at the moment.
Oh, thank you for visiting. Does anybody have any last minute questions we could go over, or scenarios? Another thing to consider when reaching out, trying to find more business, consider going to associations. So Melissa, I'll go back to you because we had that conversation. There's the whole association of chiropractors, I believe, for Atlantic Canada. So that's where you'll likely get the contact information of everybody. You could go to the Massage Therapy Association and really be able to reach out to a lot of people, researching in just one spot. See if maybe they have a meeting coming up, or something where they may be looking for people to come in as speakers. I could keep talking, folks, but I'd really rather know if there was something specific you had a question for me. Are they able to print off the chat, or that's not able here, Sam or Calvin? I just clicked on it.
We will be able to keep a transcript of the chat and send it to you on an email afterwards.
Excellent. That would be dynamite. Veronica, good to see you. Share some feedback or question. You're muted, or no, you're not muted, but your volume's not up. Not yet. No, not yet.
Hello?
Yay! Yay, you're here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Good. I was struggling to listen to you. Hello, everyone. Veronica. I work with businesses that want to reduce their exposure in court. Of course, on the court business, my focus currently is startups looking to structure their businesses and register their businesses both provincially and federally. I'm here to help them. And thank you, Dalene, for that insightful discussion. I mean, I think every business needs Dalene as a referral, please. One thing that I did catch from your presentation is that usually business owners, we tend to doing our best at what we do, things that keeps our businesses going. So what I got from your presentation is the relationship, keeping the business relationship of your client. I think it is very key, because client would want to work with businesses that they are comfortable to work with, not necessarily that you are the best, but they feel comfortable to work with you and they feel at home. So I think that is one thing that we need to consider as business owners, and not forgetting about the thank you cards, the little things, checking up. And again, too, it's not about the referral, but the maintenance of the referral is key. Because
oh, you muted yourself again.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, not to take too much time, but just to say that you are an amazing person that I have ever met. And so thank you for the good work and the support that you've been given like me. So yeah, for legal services consultant, please reach out to Veronica.
Thank you. Just to also let you know, I'm now starting to do a monthly in-person 4-hour networking training. It's really teaching you the system that I would have used to have built my first business to $5 million in annual sales. I'm the queen of little things. Take care of the little things, big things will take care of themselves. So on Tuesday, July the 9th, from 8:30 to 12:30 at Workspace in Bayers Lake, I have just 20 seats. The price is $97. If you've showed up at BNI or an event with me, you save $20. Just don't register at Eventbrite. If anybody wants me to send this info to you, put the contact information into the chat, and you'll save $20 on that. So instead of 97, it'd be 77. Best 77 you'll ever invest in. Are we done, folks?
Thank you so much.
Oh, so happy that you came, and get in touch with me on LinkedIn. If you've got a question you'd like me to do an introduction for you, I'm happy to help.